would like to welcome you to our walk through Romans. Today we're going to be in Romans, the second chapter, verse number 26. Before we get into the teaching of this wonderful verse of Scripture, let me just say this. Back many years ago when I was in Bible school, my exegesis teacher, and by the way, exegesis is the art of taking and pulling things out of the Scripture. But he came up to me and he said, Leon, what is your project for the end of the semester? And what he had done is he had given us a choice of choosing a chapter of the New Testament to exegete and to write a paper on that. And I said, well, I'm thinking about the book of Romans. And he looked at me and he said, Leon, you're a good student, but you're not that good. Why did he say that? Because Romans is one of the hardest books of the Bible to really understand. And let me just say this to help you to understand. We need to understand that the Apostle Paul, first of all, has never been to Rome, but yet he's writing a letter, a very extensive letter that covers the doctrine of salvation probably more thoroughly than any other of his writings. But he's writing to the Roman people, and then the Romans that he's writing to are made up of two different groups. They're made up of the Gentiles, they're made up of the Jewish people. And both of these people are extremely proud. The Gentiles, they were so proud. They had conquered most of the known world at this time. They were so proud of being, I'm a Roman. But they were also proud of their pagan religions. In fact, it wasn't many years after this, and Nero, who was the emperor, set himself up as being God. And so we see here this element of pride, this element of misconstrued patriotism, we'll put it that way. They were so proud of themselves, the Romans were. But then on the opposite aisle of the church are the Jewish people. And they are so proud of being Jewish. We are God's chosen people. And so the Apostle Paul, in these first 7 chapters of the book of Romans, really needs to destroy that type of thinking. And so that's what Paul is doing. Paul is trying to convince them that they have a need for Jesus. They have a need to surrender their lives over to Jesus Christ. Now today we're in verse number 26 of the second chapter, and I'm going to just start by reading verse number 25, and then we'll go into verse number 26. And it says, for indeed circumcision is of value if you practice the law. But if you are a transgressor of the law, your circumcision has become uncircumcision. And then he says this in verse number 26. So if the uncircumcised man keeps the requirements of the law, will not his uncircumcision be regarded as circumcision? Now here Paul again is asking another rhetorical question. He's asking a question to get us to think, but not really expecting an answer from us. And he does this so many times in the book of Romans. It's one of the reasons why Romans is a difficult book to understand and to really get into the depth of things. Well, an uncircumcised man, in other words, a man who doesn't have a relationship with God, will an uncircumcised man who keeps the law, will not his uncircumcision be regarded as circumcision? Well, first of all, I want you to notice he says, so if. Now, he's not saying that a man can do it. He's not saying that a Gentile can keep the requirements of the law. But what he's doing is he's trying to get people to understand that keeping the requirements of the law does not bring you into a relationship with God. And so the Apostle Paul says, so if an uncircumcised man keeps the requirements of the law, will he not, in his uncircumcision, be regarded as circumcised? No. No, he will not be in a relationship with God. Why? First of all, it's impossible for anyone to keep all the requirements of the law. Second of all, a relationship with God does not depend upon an outward act. It depends upon an inward act, the circumcision of the heart, where Jesus comes in and takes the old man and begins to remove the old man from us. And how does that happen? It happens because we come to him, we come to his grace, and we come to his grace by faith, and he begins to work in us. Now, verse number 27. And he who is physically uncircumcised, if he keeps the law, will he not judge you who through having the letter of the law and circumcision are transgressors of the law? What's he doing? What's Paul saying here? He's saying here's a man who's uncircumcised, physically uncircumcised. But he keeps the law. If he keeps the law, again, there's that word if, which we know that it's an impossibility. But if he keeps the law, will he not judge you who through having the letter of the law and circumcision are transgressors of the law? Will this man stand as your judge? Will he look at you and will he determine? The word judge here is the Greek word krino, and it means to make a decision. It means to make a judgment. Will he stand and judge you? Well, first of all, we understand that there's only one person who qualifies as the judge, and his name is Jesus. Why does he qualify as the judge? Because he is the one who kept the law. Jesus lived a complete life without sin. And so will this uncircumcised man judge the circumcised people? If they transgress the law, if they're against the law, will this uncircumcised man who keeps the law, will he judge them who have the law but don't keep it? The question, well, the answer to that question is he can't, because he cannot keep the law. I hope this is helping you to understand the book of Romans. God bless you. Join us again tomorrow as we continue our study.